Hello and welcome to Dude's Comics of the Week. I'm Jason and this is my weekly video where I take the 5 comic books I enjoyed the most this week and review them. This week was an easier week than usual. Only 6 books I picked up this week, so it was easy to narrow it down to my favourite 5. It breaks down as 1 from DC, 2 from Image and 2 from Marvel. One thing I want to point out before I carry on with the reviews is these are in no way in any kind of order of like which was the best kind of. It isn't a countdown video. This is just 5 reviews for the 5 books I enjoyed this week. So without further ado, let's get to those reviews. So the first book to be reviewed this week on my Comics of the Week is The Flash, issue number 28. And coming into this book, I was a bit concerned. Couldn't really remember what happened last issue. But as soon as I started reading this book, everything came back. And I think a lot of that has to do with how well it's written by Brian Buccellato. It really does a great job of recapping what's happened before, while at the same time still moving the story on. So that's really good. I loved the team up between the Flash and Deadman. I thought that was really good. And I thought it was a great look at the Deadman's abilities, because even like I've read Justice League Dark since Jeff Lemire started writing that book, which I think would have been around, was it something like issue 9? He jumped on that book. So, and I think this was the best look at what Deadman can do and the side effects of what he does as well. And so I really like that. I also really like the way Deadman was coloured. Matt Hollingsworth is on colours and he does a fantastic job, because it's so hard to describe, but it's kind of a different tone that Deadman is from the Flash. So you can kind of tell that Deadman isn't all there, that is a spirit. And I really like that. It was a really subtly done, but I really liked how it was, and it really worked really well. The art in this book, also by Paul Zurcher, deserves praise. Yes, he's not Francis Manapul, and we've been spoiled with the way he lays the book out so beautifully. And the art he does as well is really nice. And yet this looks different, but I still really liked it. I thought he has a great range of expressions on his characters, and I thought the action looked good, and there were some really cool pages in here, so I really like the art in this issue as well. The story does a great job of kind of, like I said, it's constantly moving forward. We're expanding on what we learned last issue, and a lot of things are coming a lot more clearer as we're learning more. There's a fantastic cliffhanger at the end, which this book does some fantastic cliffhangers anyway, but this issue was no exception. Really great cliffhanger at the end that has me really eager to see what happens next issue, and I give The Flash issue number 28 5 stars. So next up on Dude's Comics of the Week, a very sad issue. It is issue 5 of 3 from Image Comics, which is also the final issue of this series. I really enjoyed this book. I was a big fan of the TV show Spartacus, and in many ways this book reminded me of that series. The way it highlighted the horrible way that the slaves were treated by the Romans or the Spartans as in this. I thought it did remind me a lot of Spartacus. And the book was really great as we followed our three slaves who are on the run, being hunted by the Spartans. I really have loved it. There's nothing else like this book out there. And how different each of our slaves were, how one of them's really educated, how one's a really great warrior, that they each had their own different skills and there were different people. I think that was one of the things as well that really made this book work. The art in this issue, as in the other issues, is gorgeous. The colours are rich and vibrant, but the story, I think, for me, is the wing that really rings true. No punches are pulled. It doesn't give you the happy ending. Well, it tries to give you a bit of a happy ending, but you know our slaves are not going to get away from the Spartans. That the Spartans are going to get them. And it's just a matter of when. And under different hands, this issue could have read like a very big disappointment. But Kieran Gillen does a fantastic job in really wrapping the whole story up. We get to learn the origin of Carlos and where he came from and what and who he was. And yeah, and I was really satisfied with the conclusion, even though I was a bit sad that it is just that, a conclusion. This has been a brilliant series. If you love your historical fiction, I really recommend the trade of this is coming out in April. I really recommend picking it up if you're a fan of historical fiction or you really love the TV show Spartacus, because this will be right up your alley, and I give the final issue a 5 stars. So next up this week we have Black Science issue number 4 from Image Comics. This is a book that I've really been enjoying. Alternate realities, as I've said before, totally my bag. Love those kind of stories. So this was always going to be a book I checked out. And this issue I think is the best issue they've done in the series thus far. Previously our hero, our main character, our main protagonist, Grant, he's been really badly injured and he's dying. And so Ward, Kadir and Sean have gone to get a shaman to come and kind of help heal him. Unfortunately, they can't communicate with the shaman, so they've had to kidnap him. And they've got a bunch of Native Americans who are at war with the Nazis on their trail, trying to take them out as they're in this battlefield. So the very beginning of this book is them trying to get back. And we have some shocking twists and turns. And whereas I'd said previous issues, the characters were all a shade of grey, that they all had their good sides and their bad sides, and even the worst of the characters had shown heroism in the past. This issue, everybody shows their true colours, and by the end of the issue, we know where everybody stands and their true intentions. So in that, it's a big issue in that way, because things really develop in this issue. At the end of this, we get a really good cliffhanger, which an interesting development that I don't know what it means yet, but I'm really intrigued to find out. Once again, the art in this book is really great. The colours really add an alien quality to these different worlds. Even though it's alternate versions of Earth, they're still in many ways an alien planet because things have worked out differently on these worlds. And the colours really illustrate that and really do a good job of getting that across. I love the interactions between the characters, that it feels really real. And I'm just really enjoying this book. So this is just a really great issue. And I'm really becoming hooked on this series, and I give Black Science issue number 4 5 stars. So the penultimate book in my comics of the week is Uncanny Avengers issue number 17 from Marvel Comics. And one of the things that I always find with creator-owned series, that they have this kind of little edge over other books, is that with a creator-owned series, you never truly know what's coming. You never know what twist and turn they're going to take. Where with the established books, you can sometimes guess. You know major characters aren't going to get killed without it being out there, being spoilt before it comes out. So you know in the build-up to it that what's going to happen at the end, and it's more a question of how it's going to happen, rather than totally shocking you that it's happened. So Uncanny Avengers is a totally different animal to any other book that Marvel are putting out right now. It's been its own kind of separate entity for a while now. It had a tie-in to Age of Ultron, but that was it. Anything else, it's kind of sailed its own ship. It's been its own corner. There's been kind of mentioned Captain America, mentioned Dimension Z, but other than that, yeah, it's pretty much been its own book. And that's really, I think, one of the things that's made this series so strong, is that Rick Remender's been able to sit and tell his story without being interrupted by a crossover or an event, and that's been great. This issue, major things happen in this book. It is totally crazy. One of the things that I love is that Thor's battle last issue with one of the Apocalypse twins, his arm got all burnt up. And this issue, his arm's still burnt up. You know, a lot of times when heroes have battles with villains, there ain't no physical afterwards, there's no physical show that they had that battle. And I like that this book shows Thor's arm is still really deformed. And so I really enjoy, I like that kind of wrinkle in the story. There are some major developments in this issue that I can't talk about because it will spoil it. But if you've dropped this book because the first couple of issues were bad, please reconsider, because this book has been awesome since about issue 4. And this issue, major stuff happens. There's part of my brain that's kind of like, well, I'm not sure how I feel about that. How's that fitting with continuity? And then there's the other part of me is like, oh boy, what a ride. Where are we going next? How is this all going to get sorted out? Or is this something new that we're building here? So yeah, I really love this issue. The art by McNiven is fantastic. I do miss Acuna, but Niven is a really great fill-in, and I think his art as the issue goes on gets stronger and stronger, and there's some really great pages in there. And yeah, I can't really tell too much about the story, but just that major things do happen in this issue, and I am so excited for the next issue, and I give Uncanny Avengers issue number 17 a definite 5 stars out of 5. So, the final book to be reviewed this week in my Comics of the Week is The Superior Spider-Man, issue number 28, which features part 2 of Goblin Nation. Green Goblin has declared total all-out war on Spider-Man, eliminating the Spider Island and Spider Army, as well as learning all the secrets of Spider-Man and going after everybody that he cares about. Meanwhile, inside the brain of our Superior Spider-Man, Peter Parker is trapped within the memories of Dr. Octopus. And the deeper he goes, the more he's losing himself. This issue was the first issue where I really questioned what Peter Parker will going to get when this is all over. We already know some of his memories are gone for good. The only memories he's got are those that he shares with Dr. Octopus that Dr. Octopus had already accessed. Other than that, he's got none of his memories of his life left. So, you know, that already he's damaged. Now he's in the memories of Dr. Octopus losing himself, and it just made me really question at the end of this, who are we going to get? And I think that's something that I'm even looking more forward to now and seeing how that develops. Because I got a feeling when we get our Peter back, he's not going to be the Peter we knew and love, at least not for a while. This issue was a joy to read. It really starts paying off for long-time readers. All the things you've seen building are finally coming to fruition, so that was very satisfying. I'm really pleased that Giuseppe Camuncoli is doing the art on this book. I just don't think Tab Ramos's art I don't think would have fit this story, and I think Camuncoli really brings the gravitas of what's happening. Also, there's some beautiful layouts. There's a double page spread where Peter is in Dr. Octopus's memories that is just beautiful, and I wouldn't mind that as a piece of art because it was a beautiful double page spread. So yeah, really pleased. All in all, this book was just a really pleasant experience to read. It was the first book I read, and it got my comic book reading week off with a bang. And I give Superior Spider-Man issue number 28 a definite 5 out of 5 stars. So those are my books this week that I make my comics of the week. I will be back on Sunday with Dude's Comic Book Roundup, where I will review Justice League Dark issue number 28, which is the only book that never made my comics of the week this week. And so find out what I thought of that book and why it never made it into the comics of the week. I will also be reviewing issues 1 to 4 of Alex and Ada, so get my opinions on that. I've also just jumped back on board Batwoman. I dropped this book because Williams and Blackman and how that thing went down I just didn't like. And it was another one of those things where DC really annoys me. I just don't think they treat people let me start again. I don't think they treat people well sometimes, you know. They're just the basic kind of respect you give people. And if you hired somebody to do a job, let them do a job. But I really fell in love with the Batwoman character, and I don't mean like I got a crush on her. I mean I like the character. I think she's a really interesting character, and she's a bit different, you know, for me as well. I really like the duality of the character. So I really wanted to find out what was going on with the character, so I picked up issue number 24 of Batwoman, which I think is the final issue that Williams and Blackman did. And I also picked up issue 27 and 28. So I will be reviewing all 3 of those issues in Dude's Comic Book Roundup this week, as well as the other books I've mentioned. And that should be up some point on Sunday. I'll probably record it Sunday morning and upload the video in the afternoon, so UK time. So some point on Sunday evening it should be up. Before I go, I'd like to send out a big thank you to Sleepy Reader 666, Stephen McKee and Will Sullivan. I was having a bit of a bad week last week. My video views have been going down for a while, and I never considered not doing my videos because I enjoy doing them. I enjoy editing them. I enjoy the whole process and sharing my views. I just really enjoy that. And it's never been about views. It's been more about what I get from doing them and the joy I get of sharing my opinions. But it is a bit kind of, you know, demoralizing when you see your views going down and down, even though you're trying to constantly improve. So I was thinking of cutting back and doing less videos, but the fantastic comments that those guys left on my last video really recharged me, re-energized me, and I want to send a big thank you. You guys gave that bit of encouragement when a guy needed it the most, so I just send out a big thank you to you guys for doing that. So yeah, that's pretty much everything I want to say. Big thank you to everybody who's watching my video, who's subscribed to my channel, who's given me those lovely thumbs up. Like I said, I will be back on Sunday. I've been Jason. This has been Dude's Comics of the Week. Bye for now.